G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby League Guru podcast. We've got another best 17 today. We're going through the Manly Seagulls, and joining me today is Northern Beaches royalty. Ella, welcome in.
Thanks for having me. Good to be at the CBA Centre of Excellence. Looks great.
Yeah, it's come together very nicely. Now, the last time I saw you was also in a lounge, but it was the top floor of the Caxton.
It was.
I'd say 3 a.m, give or take.
Possibly.
A couple of big evenings.
It was a big weekend. Obviously, Manly did not do well. So
They don't tend to on Magic Round, do they?
They don't. Only the last two, which is the last two I've been to. So
yeah, good. That's what you want.
I'm trying to look to break the curse this year.
Speaking of, are we in attendance?
We are in attendance.
We are in attendance.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So
Good.
Yeah, round
See
two.
you there. Been a big few months for you, just quietly, new job and everything. We won't with said rival gambling agency.
Yep.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
That is unreal, with some of my good friends working there as well. So
Indeed.
some real content kings over there.
It's a good place to be. Yep. Good
What's it
people
like
to work
working with Hammy? I get it one day a week.
It's honestly the best. I think I was talking to you before. I know people who've worked with him for longer are sick of his puns, but I'm still laughing at them. So we'll see how long that lasts for me.
Yeah, awesome. For those watching at home, you'll realise why I said gambling agency very soon. It will make no sense to you at the moment, but we'll get there very soon. Manly, how would you describe 2023?
Disappointing. Yep. Was really expecting big things. We haven't had, obviously we had that 10-year dominance where we made finals every single year.
Yep.
And then since then, we've almost made it at least every second year. So to go back-to-back years missing finals, starting the season so well as well with the preseason challenge, Tommy's fit. I'm like, oh, we are so on here. But yeah, very disappointing.
I still think to this day, I think it was Roasted that had the preseason challenge
He
t-shirts.
did. Yeah.
All time.
They're the greatest. And, you know, if we go back-to-back, we might
Imagine
see...
if you go back-to-back preseason.
we might see another resurgence of those shirts.
I love
we'll
that.
see.
It's a decade of dominance beginning.
Exactly.
That's unreal. Speaking of championships, you've obviously been selected recently for the Kangaroo Tour of Las Vegas. Very happy to have you on the squad.
Very excited.
You were one of the first names I wrote down. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get you, but I'm stoked to have you on board.
I'm very excited. It's a very important tour. My mum was on the 1990 Kangaroos tour, so, you know, it's full circle moment.
Your family's the best.
I know, they are. Yeah, it's a full circle moment now being part of the Kangaroo Tour.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is unreal. I actually mentioned Ella the other day, I grew up with like a VCR cassette of the 1990 Kangaroo Tour. I can tell you every try in order of the entire tour. So to know that your mum was there, I should have just known your parents.
Of course, exactly
right. It just
right.
makes sense.
I know, yeah. It's she said it was very fun. There's a lot of stories that I could never tell on air from that tour, but yeah, looked like a lot of fun.
Could the Kasmars rival the Travojevic as being the most rugby league family on the
Honestly,
Northern Beaches?
there's quite a few, you know, synergy between the family. Like both grew up on the Northern Beaches. My dad actually worked with the Travojevic's uncle, which is the twin brother of the boys.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, powerhouses on the Northern Beaches.
Was that at a bank by any chance?
Insurance.
Insurance.
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you that after the show. Good times. Yeah, so Las Vegas coming up, going to be super exciting. Is your brother coming along?
He is.
Yeah. Good. I like your brother. Good man.
Yeah, he's good.
I love to as well. When I did my merch shop a couple of months ago, one of the first in there was a couple of people that brought 2 hats. And I thought, that's a good knock to get 2 of them. There wasn't many of them available. And I read the first name first. I can't remember what it was.
My brother?
No, it was your mum.
My mum, Deb.
Deb, I thought, geez, Deb buying too. And then I saw Kasmar and I went, I'm surprised she didn't buy 10.
I know, right? I put, it was strict instructions to get it because I was in a boxing class at the time. So, yeah, she pulled through for the family, that's for sure.
That boxing trainer must have felt pretty special that you showed up. I think it was the same time as a HSP drop
It
too, wasn't it?
It was very stressful.
Nightmare.
Actually, I think it was on my birthday as well. It was a big day. It was a big day.
It was your birthday.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, my God. What a nightmare.
I know, right?
All right, we're getting off topic. We're getting into Caxton areas now.
Yeah.
Let's get to Manly Best 17. A couple of big signings this year, I think, headlined by Brooksy. He's obviously a guy that has been heavily criticised for a long period of time. I've always thought Brooksy's a good footballer. I think he just got stuck in a bad situation. I am super hyped to see Brooksy there. How are you feeling about this one?
Very excited. When the news, I think when those rumours were first breaking, I think I was a bit of shock, a bit hesitant at the start. But now I'm so excited. Like poor Daly, there was a list that went around a few months ago of the halves partners he's had since Kieran Foran. Obviously, since Kieran Foran the first time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, looking at that list, it is insane. And like, you know, you've got guys like Dylan Walker who've been shifted to be a 5'8" alongside him. So to have an actual specialist half for Ches is incredible. I think also Brooksy just not having to be, like, the pressure's not on him in this team. There's like a lot of other guys that'll be they'll be focusing on. So yeah.
I'm really putting you on the spot here. Mm-hmm. But who's a standout rogue one from that 5'8" list that comes to mind for you?
Tavita Funa. I think he played one game. It was against Newcastle, up in Newcastle, and we lost. And it was not a fun day.
Shout out to Tavita Funa.
Yeah, I know.
Doing good things.
Yeah, that was probably the roguest for sure.
That's unreal. All right, let's get into your side. Now, we'll start at fullback, and we could have just about ended fullback, couldn't we, with your side? I think it needs to be noted with Tommy Turbo that last year he was playing good footy. He was looking good. There was no lower leg injuries. And then that peck happened in the Origin arena, ruined Manly's season, ruined the New South Wales Blues Origin series. But most importantly, it ruined my Supercoach draft season.
Yes.
So it was a real triple whammy for me. I was in all sorts. I imagine plenty of emotions for you as well. Plenty of new scars to join the old scars.
It was, I remember how flat I was feeling after that moment. I couldn't care less what happened for the rest of that Origin game. I think also just knowing the same conversations will be happening again. Where should he play? It's like he's still getting injured at centre. It's not a leg injury, like you said. Like, it's just it's a lot of bad luck for the poor
My next question was going to be, do you consider him at centre? But I take it that's a no-go zone.
It's if it was back-to-back hamstrings and like that was the problem area all the time, but he's done his pec twice now, so it's like, and if it's happening at centre as well, like I think unfortunately he's just in a lot of bad luck, and I'm just like, surely that turns around.
It has to. Yeah, I remember I did a show with Maddie about a year ago, and we said, like, who are the guys that you wish could redo their career without injury? Like, the greatest could have been guys. And I looked at Maddie at the end of the show. I said, mate, the one guy I don't want to be on this list, and he said Turbo. And I went, it would be such a travesty if Turbo made that list at the end of his career.
It's just like watching him coming up in the juniors. Obviously, the comparison to the Stewart brothers. We still haven't won a premiership with them. So, yeah, if he doesn't win a premiership at Manly, that will be the biggest travesty of all.
And not that I want shit blokes to get injured, but he is such a good guy that it just makes it even more upsetting.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
It's
and,
devastating.
like, you see how seriously he takes his rehab. It's just such a bummer. So, hopefully this year's the season.
If Turbo plays 20-plus games, where do you think you finish?
Top 4.
Top 4?
Big call, but I just think, he's just, obviously this is going off that Daly stays fit as well. Like, it's obviously anyone in our spine dropping off is not going to be easy, but when Turbo's fit, it's just like, it is insane how much better he makes everyone around him.
If Turbo plays sub 5 games?
Honestly, after seeing how Tolutau Kula did in those last 2 games at fullback last year, I know it wasn't against exactly top 8 sides, so it was the Bulldogs and the Tigers. I'd like to just see that first before I make that call.
Can I ask you, and I had Kohler, I picked him in Supercoach Classic. He absolutely brained it for me. I was a huge fan. I thought he'd dominate that opposition. I personally think it is wild that Kohler seems to be next in line now, when the year before, Garrick was, if it wasn't for Jersey Gate, I think Garrick gets you into the top 8 playing fullback.
And I honestly, what he did filling in for Tommy was incredible. It's just, I don't know if he has the attacking prowess to make us a top 8 side.
Okay.
I
thought the exact same thing until, what was it, 2022?
Yeah.
And then 8 weeks later, I went, maybe I'm wrong.
I know. Yeah.
Great to have options regardless.
Exactly right. And I hope I don't have to have this conversation this year. Fingers crossed. Okay. But
let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on from Tommy Turbo. Let's talk about your centres then, because those were the 2 names we threw around. Kohler. You like Garrick at centre?
I think so, yeah.
I'm not huge on it. I'm happy to see him have a crack at it. I think he is a premium winger and I'd be keeping him there. What are your thoughts on this Garrick move?
Yeah, like, because he did show a lot of promise playing in the centres in those couples of games last year. I'm stoked for him to have a go because we do lack a little bit of depth in the centre department at the moment. Obviously, we signed Paulo and Talau, so they're kind of interchangeable where like wherever Garrett goes, one will come in, one will come out, whether it's Talau in the centres or Paulo on the wing.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm happy for him to start the season there. But, I mean, if it doesn't work, I reckon sooner rather than later move him back onto the wing. But, yeah.
Played the 3 games at centre last year from what I can see here.
Yeah, I think one of those games he was a bit average, if I recall correctly, but the other two, I think he did pretty well.
I think it's interesting. I think him at centre gained a lot of momentum because his first game was against the Dolphins and you won that about 1,000 to 4.
We did, yes.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it works out.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, great to have versatility.
Exactly
like this.
right. It's like, it's nice. It doesn't feel like we've had that for a couple of seasons now, so it's cool to see.
Cola, the other guy, I would rather headbutt a knife than watch Cola just sit in a corridor all year and not roam.
I agree.
He's got to be moving around, right?
100%. And I think surely the coaching staff are giving him that ticket because they know how good he is. I think it's a little bit of confidence for him, maybe. So heading into this season, I'm hoping that he's kind of backing himself a bit more now to do that.
It's wild how much upside he's got in attack, but he's also one of the best defensive centres in the comp.
He is, and he's not a massive guy, like height-wise, size-wise. But yeah, honestly, he's one-on-one defence. Like, I'm very confident in him in that department for sure.
He's one that I remember a couple of years ago, there was a bit of talk that the Wallabies were keen on him.
They were, yeah.
And I sort of thought, oh, he's quick, but I don't know if he'd be your absolute target. After watching him at the back end of last season, if he has a big year in 2024, he could have rocketed up that list.
I am scared. I know there's been whispers even throughout last year that they were still kind of sniffing around him because he did grow up playing rugby union in the private school system.
Into Newington, I
think. He did, yeah, with Kaya Weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm terrified. Like, obviously I want him to do well, but yeah.
Now, you've got Garrick in the centres. Jason Saab locks down the right wing.
He does.
Nothing more to say about Jason Saab.
No, I think he was building nicely last year. Yep. So I'm excited to see.
Perfect body shape.
Yep.
Fastest guy in the league.
Exactly.
No brainer. Talk to me about the other wing. What are we thinking?
So I'm thinking Jackson Paulo's locked that down. There's just been a lot. The club's been doing a lot of media on him. He's featured a lot in our preseason documentary. Also with
how good, by the way.
Oh my God, it's.
I'd hate to know how many times you've watched it.
I want it every week. When it's like every fortnight, I'm like, I want another one. Yeah, I just I probably haven't watched his career super closely, so it's a bit of a fresh slate for me assessing him there.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Christian Tuipulotu rumored to be going to the Dragons, I reckon that'll be kind of done before the season starts. So yeah, I think Paulo is going to get first shot on the wing, and I'm excited to see how that goes. I actually don't even know if he's going to link up with Garrick or Kula on what edge, because
I just assume Garrick would be left.
You'd assume so because obviously he was playing the whole time, but having like Saab and Kula on the same edge is just like, it's a lot of speed.
Yeah, but if you're gonna,
I almost want to.
If it's on Chez's side, though,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it'll be just. I'm really interested to see how they line up in round one.
Yeah, I hadn't even considered Garrick playing the other side.
No,
but he might be onto
know.
something. Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure. I feel like he did play alongside Saab in one of those games.
Now you say it, I've actually got a vague memory of that as well. I feel like he did,
but then I know obviously Cola's played a lot of time along Saab as well. So we'll see what Siebes decides. But
Good
it'll be interesting
to be in once again.
Exactly.
5'8", look, I believe Brooksy picks himself there. I think he'll get first dibs. You've obviously got Josh Schuster who played a little bit there over the last few years. Obviously didn't work out well. I don't think you bring Luke Brooks to the club and not play him.
That's exactly right. I knew as soon as we signed him that was kind of the plan they were going with. I even think that if Brooksy got injured, I actually think Jake Arthur might be next up to go in there, because I think the club really do see Schuster as a second rower now.
We'll talk about him soon. Wild little journey, that one. Chez picks himself at 7. I imagine you're a huge fan.
Massive fan. Honestly, he's definitely my favourite player at the moment. So.
At the moment,
yeah.
Where does he rank all timers for Melbourne?
I'd say I honestly reckon he'd be second. Jamie Lyon's my number one,
say,
and
better be Jamie Lyon,
he will forever stay my number one. But I absolutely love Ches. So.
Who else is in there? Glenn Stewart?
Yeah, that was my brother's favourite player growing up.
Yeah.
Obviously Beaver.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
How stupid are they?
Loved Michael Robertson as well.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Matty Orford.
The Ox.
So honestly, I could just name the entire 2008 grand final side.
Funny story for my draft challenges the other day for Supercoach draft. This will make sense at the end of this story, but we had like a marble race that was online to decide our part of our draft order. So it was like 14 grown men sitting around their laptops on Zoom watching a marble race, and I put it on my Instagram story. I thought, if you want to watch this, sure. If not, I get it. But the next 20 minutes is going to be the most dribbliest shit you've ever seen. Anyway, it ended up being about 15 Instagram things that went for a minute each. Anyway, I noticed the other day Matt Orford watched it from start to finish. And I thought, that is wild.
He's a good guy. He's a good man. He's actually back at Manly coaching our junior ranks. Yep.
Oh, I like that.
That's exciting to see him around the club again.
It's weird they didn't invite him back to Canberra.
I know.
Wild.
Crazy.
One of the great stints.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Ox. Great gear. But yeah, I couldn't believe I got to the end of the thing.
That's
I messaged
so
the boys.
funny.
I go, want to hear the most random thing you'll hear probably ever? Matt Orford watched our entire marble race. It was all glitchy and shit.
Big
Wild.
claim. Yeah.
Okay, that's all the backs out of the way. Let's move into the front row. As the boys call him, Mount Paseka. I felt like about 6 weeks before he got injured, someone finally brought him a mirror and Paseka realised how fucking big he is.
Yep. Yep.
And then he got injured.
I know.
Devastating.
It was, yeah.
If he can get back to 70% of what we saw last year, good as gold.
100%. And he's still quite young.
Yep.
So I think, yeah, he's got so much upside, so much potential. So, yeah, hopefully he has no injuries this year and can continue on that form.
Fingers crossed. To partner him, we've got 2 names written down here. Matty Lodge will come into contention when he's available. We probably think coming off injury, he'll be more of a bench guy.
At the start, for sure,
So we'll get to him soon. The other 2 we're probably looking at here are Aloye Sipley. I thought Sipley played the best football I've ever seen from. He actually played football that I didn't think he was capable of last year. He was very impressive.
He was. I know he got dropped back to Blacktown for a little bit and he got given the captaincy role there. And I don't know if that just set off something inside him, but his attitude was incredible.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been great to see.
And I think with Aloye Sipley, one of them will start, one of them will be on the bench.
Exactly right.
Vice versa.
And it's good. I think they'll keep each other in competition. Like when we talk about Paseka, I feel like he's really cemented his spot in that starting side, whereas the other 2, I feel like it's just going to be really whoever's in form at the time.
Yeah, that's good. Once again, competition for
Absolutely.
spots. Unreal. Your hooker, Lockie Croker, we were saying pre-show, it felt like for the last few years you haven't had a hooker. Now it feels like you almost got too many hookers to choose from. And Lockie Croker is now a hooker, but he wasn't a hooker for a long time. He's made a great fist to that job. He's done sensational, but I think it is a great time to get him some help.
100%. Yeah, exactly. He's always been so good defensively. Maybe doesn't have that attacking like exactly. You see some other teams have. So yeah, give him a break. Like he's been playing 80 minutes for what feels like years now. So it'll be nice to see.
I think it'll just give you more variation in your 100%. As well. When you're so ball dominant through Turbo and DCE, to have a hooker that can be a bit of a live wire in key moments, it'll be unreal.
Exactly.
I actually said to Ella pre-show, I said, you know who was the hooker you shouldn't have let go of? He was from the Super League. That was the only hint I gave her. I didn't say another word. So if you want to pause the podcast right now and try and work it out yourself from those clues, go ahead. Unpause. Matty Parcell.
Yup, I know.
Unbelievable. I thought he was going to carve it at Manly for so long.
Really liked him. I remember when we signed him, everyone was so hyped on his QRL highlights and all of that. I think he kind of got sucked in the Barrett era of, you know, we've had a few coaching changes, who's coming in, who's coming out. But yeah, it was a bummer because I really thought he'd re-steady the hooker ship, but yeah. Would have
been a big CBA.
Exactly right.
Out of the studio. Yes. I'll tell you that much for free.
Yes.
Whilst we're on hooker, let's talk about the 14 jersey. I think it's pretty evident this year it will go to one of 2 guys. Jordan Chan Kum Tong, who you're a huge fan of.
Big fan.
Jamie Humphries as well, who I believe you're a pretty big fan of as well.
Yeah.
I prefer Gordon, but I'm more than happy to admit I probably haven't seen enough of Jamie Humphries to make a fair call. But if he's more impressive than Gordon, he must be a damn good footballer.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Obviously, Gordon will be my number one. But I have heard and seen again through the documentary that Jamie's been training really well, which is good. Again, to put pressure even on Croaks as well. So yeah, obviously because Gordon got to debut first, I would be kind of shocked if they don't give him the first go at that jersey, and I think he'll do an incredible job. But yeah, it'd be cool to follow Jamie this year as well, because I'm sure he'll be our hooker for Blacktown. So
yeah, and I hope Jamie gets a gig somewhere, because I imagine it must be pretty tough for him off the field.
100%.
Not a very good looking bloke, so tough gig.
Yep.
Okay, let's go back to your forward pack. Let's go to your second row. Olakau'atu just re-signed on a monster deal. Yes. What are your thoughts on that, first of all? The length and everything.
I'm a bit biased. Like, I love Hamole, and I don't want him going anywhere. Like, I know it's a long deal, it's a lot of money, but I'm pretty happy that we've locked him in. It's nice to have some stability there for sure.
There's not many guys in the league that are capable of doing what he's doing. I also love that over the last, I feel like the back end of last season, you started to see a bit of alpha coming out in him, that he would challenge guys in the opposition, which I love to see from guys that are that big. It's unreal.
Exactly right.
That other second row spot, wide open.
It is.
I'm going to hand you the floor. I've got 3 names here. Schuster, Burbo, Waddell. Talk to me.
It's a tough one, because if you'd asked me maybe like 3 weeks ago, I was like, surely Schuster goes straight away, but he's had a hand injury in the off season. We haven't seen much of him in the preseason content, so I really like it's really hard to tell where he is in his journey. So like, because Siebes might think maybe we need to start him in Blacktown, get some minutes under his belt. I'm not too sure. I know Burbo's been training really well as well, so I'm really indecisive there. I think it'll be one of the two. I don't think Waddell comes in unless someone else is injured. But yeah, it's really tough to pick.
I think it's really, and sorry, I'm not saying you are obviously, but I think for a lot of people out there, it's very easy to throw shit on Josh Schuster.
For sure.
He's a pile-on guy.
He is, yeah.
He sells papers, he gets clicks. And to be honest with you, he doesn't always do himself the biggest favours in the world, obviously, but he's a young guy learning and whatnot. I think, though, it needs to be remembered with Schuster that when he did come into our game and he impressed us so much, it was in the back row. Sort of it all did go to shit when they moved him to 5'8". And I'm not saying he's going to turn around and win Dally M second row of the year or whatever, but I think we do need to respect that when he did play in the back row, he was pretty damn good there.
He was.
Despite what we've seen over the last year that would probably suggest he's not going to go well there, there's literally evidence that he has played some great footy there, and he's played tough footy there as well.
And that's like one of the most frustrating things is like knowing how good he is, how important he can be to our side. And like if he's firing, if Tommy's fit, if Brooksy's helping chairs, like it's just... it's so frustrating.
If we get to round 6, we're going, geez, Schuster's on fire. He's snapping blokes. He's not missing tackles. Some people will be shocked, and I'll be like, well, you saw this for a year.
I know, yeah.
It's just such a bizarre story how it's all played out.
It is. And it's just a bummer he picked up this injury in the preseason. I know it's gone a little bit, it seemed to go pretty quiet in the news. I only found it, I can't even remember where I found it. But so hopefully we'll see. Yeah.
Burbo's the other one, speaking of injuries. Just let the boy play.
I know.
Just give him 6 months of just straight footy.
Exactly. He's had one of the most disruptive like progressions into first grade ever, because obviously he comes into reserve grade during COVID, doesn't get to play in reserve grade. He's 18th man every second week, so he's not actually getting minutes under his belt. Then he gets chucked in random positions when I think there was a few games where he was in our 17 off the bench and we kept getting injuries, so he's chucked into the centres every 3 seconds. So it's just he's had no consistency, and I would love to see what he could do with some real consistency in one position.
Obviously, like super coach wise, he's been a talking point for half a decade now. It's thank God for Burbo. Josh, the guy from Melbourne, Jack Howarth, is sort of starting to overtake him as that guy. But I just want to see Burbo play some footy.
I do too.
He's got so much ability. It's
I know.
insane.
Yeah.
Speaking of Urbos, let's go to the J variety, lining up in jersey 13. I'm keen to see, now that Anthony Seibold's had this squad for a year or so, I think that sometimes Desi Hasler made Gerbo a little bit one-dimensional
1,000,000%. Yeah.
at times, and I think that, we obviously know Gerbo's tough as nails and all that, but he's a very skillful player, and I'm hoping we get to see Gerbo really get back to the height of that, because it wasn't that long ago he was 13 for New South Wales, and we were confident he was going to be that guy for ages. Then he just kind of turned into a middle forward, and I believe that was because of coaching at Manly.
I agree. It definitely, you could 100% see a difference in the way he was playing the game and whether, what role he was being given by whoever was coach at the time. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how he goes this year.
Let's have a look at the rest of your bench. So obviously 14, we spoke about the utility, one of those young nines. Jersey 15, I assume, Aloy Sipley, whichever other one.
Yeah.
Jersey 16 and 17. This is interesting. You've obviously got Matty Lodge. He's out for the first month or so. I think when fit, maybe he starts in reserve grade to get some reps, but I think when fit, Lodge will be there.
I think so too, yeah.
I actually completely forgot about him. You mentioned him pre-show, and I straight away went, of course, Ethan Bullimore, who I think has been a really good signing from Brisbane.
Oh my gosh, I rate Bully a lot. I think that was another issue with towards the end of Dez's reign. He was putting him in the second row, and I just don't think he does his best work on the edge when he's just being given the ball, needs to just run hard through the middle. He's been incredible. He's really fast as well. I know he was he's been scoring really well in the speed challenges and stuff. So
I remember when he first came through, and when I was first watching him, and he was playing on. I agree with you. He's a middle. He's not an edge. But I remember he was playing on the edge. I remember he made a break one day, and I watched him, and he was so quick. I thought, this is Matt Gillette all over again. He moves like Gillette.
Yeah,
so
similar
much.
body
It's
shapes as
insane.
well.
Very similar body shapes. Obviously, Matt Gillette played on the edge for a number of years, but I agree with you. I think Bullimore plays his best footy through the middle. I'm also all for having a smaller middle. You look at, it actually shocks me last night standing next to Jermaine Hopgood. Not that big. You look at Ruben Cotter, these sort of guys, your Victor Radleys of the world. So I'm all for having different body shapes, especially when you've got fucking Paseka and these guys.
exactly right. Yeah.
I think it's worth having. The last jersey, you'll have 2 out of Waddell, Burbo or Schuster, whoever doesn't make the starting left edge. The wild card, though, is Nathan Brown.
He is, yeah. So at the moment, he's not in our top 30.
Yeah.
But the rumour is with Christian Tuipulotu leaving, the purpose for that is to elevate him to our top 30. And I really could see him taking that spot, because if you look at that bench, it's a bit light on if we're putting Burbo, Schuster or Waddell in that last spot. So, yeah, I really honestly could see him taking that.
I hope those dominoes fall that way, and I hope it does end up being Nathan Brown there. I also think it's incredibly handy to have a guy on your bench that he can play 80 minutes at a high click any given week.
Exactly right. And he's very experienced. I know, again, that was another signing I was a bit hesitant of at first, but the more I think about it, and when I do look at that team list, especially thinking about how we're going to line up in round 1, I'd like to see it happen.
When I look at Nathan Brown, he feels like one of your old school Manly players.
Yeah, he does.
Got a bit of shit in him. Tough
He's got
as
Anthony
nails.
Watmow vibes.
Got some skill to him though. Got a nice little offload. He would fit very well into your really successful Manly sides from 10 odd years ago. So I hope it does work out. Let's have a look at the other guys that are in the squad that didn't get a bait in that 17. Benny Condon, Brad Parker moved to the second row, I believe.
Yes, that is the rumour. I don't think Siebes has really made a huge comment about it yet, confirming whether that's the case. But I guess he's going to be a Burbo style player where he can kind of plug holes. I wouldn't be surprised if, God forbid, we get some more injuries. He obviously can slot back into the centres. But yeah, it'd be cool to see him in the second row, because he is, I think we were talking about before, he's a big body.
He's so much bigger in real life than what you look at him on TV and you go, geez, he's a skinny, not much to him. But in real life, he's enormous.
He is, yep.
When we went out to Combank, I think we watched Manly Para that night, me and Tim. We went out on the field and he wasn't playing. He was just standing next to us. And mate, the shadow he was casting was massive. He's a big bit of gear.
He is, yeah.
Brad Parker, Tommy Talau, another one that you've signed that I guess it's flown under the radar a little bit. Obviously the son of the great Willie Talau. Very good player, Tommy. I think he just needs to add little bits and pieces to his game. I think we'll see him at some point, but he's a guy that I think could really impress for Blacktown. Yeah,
I'm super excited. Honestly, the Blacktown squad's building nicely. That's for sure.
Where does Blacktown play? Do they play at Manly or out there?
Most of the games are out at Blacktown, at HE Labart. but there are a few games they play at Brookie.
Yeah, okay.
There's a few games scheduled.
Did you get out to those as well?
I have been before, which is a bit of a hike from my house, but
Yeah, how far is that?
it's about an hour and a bit.
God, you're a good fan.
Oh, the worst time was I think we'd played Penrith at Brookie. They smashed us, like Manly had, and then the next day I went out to Blacktown and watched Penrith smash our reserve grade side. So I was like, this was probably not the smartest decision of my life.
Yeah, that's good stuff, though. Vega, another winger, handy to have in the side, a little bit of a wild card. And then the wild card of wild cards, Carl Lawton.
Yep.
I would love to see him in the team somewhere, but with that 14 jersey potentially taken by one of these hookers, I see how he misses out.
Yeah.
I love to have a Carl Lawton in my 30 though.
I know he's a very versatile player because the amount of positions he can cover is crazy.
Yeah.
And I have seen a few people when they're doing their own Manly best 17 have put him ahead of Gordon and Jamie. So you just never know. But yeah.
If we got to round 1 and Carl was in 14, I'd go, okay, I get it.
It makes sense.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say the best thing about Carl Lawton is that Carl Lawton doesn't know what Carl Lawton's going to do. He's impossible to defend. He reminds me of Lewis Brown.
Yeah. Very similar.
You'd see him going to dummy half, you'd be like, here comes an over-the-top dummy and he'll scoot, but he'll make moves every single time. Zach Fulton, obviously the last name, pretty famous over there at Manly.
Very.
Obviously Fulton's been in the news recently. We haven't really seen much of Zach since his debut, or if we have, I haven't kept track of it.
No.
But I remember watching him on debut. I think he took on JWH.
He did.
And went at him.
Yep.
And I was very impressed that night. We haven't really seen a stack since.
Yes, I was impressed with him too, and I wanted to see more of him. That was end of 2022.
Yes.
With Jersey Gate. It was that game.
The old Jersey Gate, huh?
Jersey Gate. But yeah, I was really disappointed to not see him last year. I thought maybe he would have been ahead of the pecking order of guys like Ben Condon and stuff. But yeah, I don't know where he may fit this year. I think it might take a few injuries for us to see him actually play first grade. But again, another one I'm excited to watch in reserve grade for sure.
Could be the first time in about 60 years that it's not a great thing to have the last name Fulton.
I know, right?
At the moment, which is
it's
wild.
a bummer.
Jakey Arthur's still there as well. Obviously, good cover to have. I think just a good guy to have in your squad.
Exactly right. Yeah, I think he'll be able to fill the holes when Ches is off and doing origin duties and all of that. So
now, Ella walked in here this afternoon, spat in my face and said, I've got a CBA for you, so sit down, kid. Talk to me about Clayton.
Clayton, oh my gosh, I am a massive fan of this guy. So he was just signed by Blacktown last year, wasn't even part of our squad, wasn't part of our development squad. This year he's been promoted to our development squad, so he's a winger. Yep. I can't describe how good he is under the high ball, which is something I think I've really wanted in my wingers the past 10 years maybe. But yeah, I'm really excited that he's in our development squad. Definitely someone to keep a close eye on. I think he was a leading try scorer for reserve grade last year, at least he was definitely up there.
Yep.
He had some crazy stat where he'd scored more tries in games played. So
yeah, wow.
Yeah, he's a great one.
Give me a player comparison to someone in the NRL. Is there are we talking like a Mulatalo? Are we like a Suoliti sort of body shape? Give me any sort of...
I'd say more Mulatalo.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He's quite tall, skinny. Yeah. Really excited to see how he goes, especially just being able to train closer with first grade for the first time. Yep. It's really exciting that he went on our tough man camp and so it's the first time I guess he's been able to take rugby league really seriously because obviously when you're signed by Blacktown, it's not your full-time job. So yeah, I'm excited to see how he goes. Good opportunity for him. Mm-hmm.
Anyone else you want to give a feature to or anything else that comes to mind? I know we've gone pretty deep here.
Yeah. No, obviously the thing I'm most excited about this season is seeing Gordy get get a real chance because we only got to see him in the last 2 rounds of the season in games that didn't matter for any of the clubs he was playing against. So I'm really excited. Was that
the last 2 weeks of the season?
Yeah, because I was in Europe at the time and I was genuinely terrified. I was there for 2 months. I was like, if Gordon debuts whilst I'm there, I'm going to have to fly home. But he debuted the day after I came back. So I flew in on the Saturday. He debuts the Sunday. I was like, this actually couldn't have timed any better. Yeah.
Yeah, because you were at that game with a sign or
I
something.
was.
I
Yeah.
posted something with you.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. Yeah. No, that's unreal.
Yeah.
Good gear. All right. Next time I see you, we're going to be in Las Vegas.
Very excited.
It's going to be super exciting. Cannot wait for that. The Kangaroo Tour.
Mm-hmm.
You would have been by now announced on social media that you're featuring on the tour, which is going to be fantastic. Cannot wait to get over there. Thank you for coming in. Congratulations on all your successes over the last few months. It's been unreal to watch and very well deserved as well. And we'll see you in Vegas.
See you in Vegas.
How good.